Number one is day 2 of the RNC convention last night, as just mentioned. You won't be surprised to learn that my favorite moment was a speech not from a politician, because my theory that politicians never give interesting speeches ever has been, in my opinion, confirmed by both conventions. But luckily, there's been some non-political speeches that I thought were pretty good. Nick Sandmann, the kid who was slandered by CNN and other media companies and sued them and forced them to settle the lawsuits, he spoke for several minutes. He had a lot to say that was quite relevant and important, but I'm going to play just a clip of him giving his side of the story, describing from his perspective what happened on that fateful day in D.C. Watch this.
My name is Nick Sandmann, and I'm the teenager who was defamed by the media after an encounter with a group of protesters on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial last year. Before I begin, I'd like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to share some of my story and why it matters so much to this November's election. In 2019, I attended the March for Life in Washington, D.C., where I demonstrated in defense of the unborn. Later that day, I bought a Make America Great Again hat because our president, Donald Trump, has distinguished himself as one of the most pro-life presidents in the history of our country, and I wanted to express my support for him too. Looking back now, how could I have possibly imagined that the simple act of putting on that red hat would unleash hate from the left and make myself the target of network and cable news networks nationwide? Being from Kentucky, the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln, my classmates and I visited the Lincoln Memorial. I found myself face to face with Nathan Phillips and other professional protesters looking to turn me into the latest poster child showing why Trump is bad. While the media portrayed me as an aggressor with a relentless smirk on my face, in reality, the video confirms I was standing with my hands behind my back and an awkward smile on my face that hid 2 thoughts. 1, don't do anything that might further agitate the man banging a drum in my face. And 2, I was trying to follow a family friend's advice, never to do anything to embarrass your family, your school, or your community. Before I knew what was happening, it was over. One of Mr. Phillips' fellow agitators yelled out, "We got him. It's all right here on video. And we won, Grandpa."
So, and then he goes on to talk about cancel culture and how it's, wielded by the media and the left to destroy people they don't like. A very effective speech all around. I mean, this is a guy, you want to talk about victims of the cancel culture. This is one of the classic examples of it. A very, as I said, effective. And the best part is the media just absolutely hated it. This was playing on CNN, which is great. They were just really mad, salty, as the kids would say, and so they lashed out again, just spewing vitriol at this kid. Many examples I could show, but let's just go with this one. Joe Lockhart is a CNN contributor, and he is, I think, very jealous that Nick Sandmann gets paid more from CNN than he does. So he tweeted this, "I'm watching tonight because it's important, but I don't have to watch this snot-nosed, entitled kid from Kentucky," talking about Sandmann. Snot-nosed, entitled kid from Kentucky is what he calls him. Right. Well, Joe, better to be a snot-nosed, entitled kid than a snot-nosed, entitled old fart like you. I mean, if you have to choose between the two, that's really the time to be snot-nosed and entitled as a kid. We all were. But, you're, in your 50s, 60s now, and you still are. And the thing is, yes, Nick is entitled. He actually is. Some people are entitled to certain things. He actually is entitled to not be slandered and libeled, right? He's legally entitled to that. And so if he's coming off as entitled, that's because he has a certain entitlement, a real legal entitlement, that is protection from libel and slander, that was infringed. And that's why now CNN is entitled to pay him for that. That's how it works. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the entire country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and a subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.